Hi everyone, welcome to BullCaster, a talk show for all the crypto bulls. Here we to discuss the most exciting industry topics with the best industry experts, influencers, and remarkable personalities. I'm Constantin Kogan, co-founder of BullPerks, and in today's show, we are going to explore transformation of human connection with Metaverse and with our special guest, Yulia Barnakova. Hi, Yulia.
Hello there, and hello, BullPerks community. Really excited to be here with you all today.
Thank you for being with us today. And just in case if you didn't read the announcement or you didn't see what Yulia is doing, she's on a mission to inspire leaders to apply metaverse technologies in creative ways to their business challenges. And as a strategist within the metaverse, Continuum Business Group at Accenture, which is one of the big four, as I'm sure people know this brand. She helps clients across industries identify commercially relevant metaverses and different use cases for customers and different big brands and including supply chains, different operations, and she's a frequent speaker in Metaverse technologies and including TEDx. You can look it up on YouTube. It's an amazing talk. We can obviously share it in our description. And yeah, she's one of the leaders in the space, and that's why we're excited to have her today on today's show. I mean, we'll go straight to the point. Our show is that's our style. Very
Love it.
concise, straight to the point. So, we're happy to have you, right? Obviously, you have an extensive experience leading the digital innovation and consulting. I'm sure you work with a lot of big brands that are like, cutting edge technology, like, different ways the virtual reality now, and as we call it, a good marketing tool as we use it, or word and notion and metaverse technology, right? So let's start from basics. How would you define it? Because people have so many different
Yeah,
definitions.
you're right. I mean, people have so many different definitions, and it's kind of like trying to define the internet, right? Especially in the early days, people used terms like surfing the web or information superhighway, and all of those terms kind of faded out. And now, kind of, we all know what it means, but it's still kind of a little hard to define. So, with metaverse, the way that we at Accenture define it is it's kind of the next evolution of the internet. So it's very broad, it's very expansive. And the key piece here is that it allows us to go beyond just kind of browsing as consumers and as workers to actually actively participating or inhabiting various worlds and immersive experiences. Now, just to double click on that participation element, we consider the metaverse to include everything that's kind of the decentralized side, so kind of the blockchain, crypto, etc., as well as the XR side. So if you think about XR and blockchain, boom, mash them together. That's kind of how we think about it, as a continuum. And you can access that continuum through a variety of different ways. I mean, of course your headsets, but doesn't have to be that way. Your PC, your mobile, even heads up displays, or kind of smart goggles, Internet of Things. There's so many ways to kind of access this new world and participate in it through shared ownership with NFTs and digital assets and other tokenized opportunities. We just see it as very, very broad when we work with our clients.
Mm-hmm. So let's try to narrow it down. Like, I think that's the beauty of, like, to concise anything and to make sure people understand it in such a format like that will help them to navigate their reality. Because there are two groups of people right now. There are people who are like enthusiastic, like you and me, right? And try to propel this technology, right? And it's a minority, let's be honest. It's a small minority right now. And there are other people who either don't understand it or don't see the actual value, and they're like even like people who are pessimistic about it because they think that the virtual component actually dilutes the socialization, like, and connecting with people, while I would argue that it actually can help people to socialize and connect. So let's digest it. Like, what do you think? How will this actually take place?
Yeah, so what we're starting to see is kind of an extension of consumer and worker behavior into these kinds of technologies. So as an example, people, they've always, just we're social beings. We wanted to socialize. And so, I mean, very classic example is before the COVID days, everyone, we did a lot of in-person concerts, events, meetings. Now we're starting to see, or we have seen, an explosion of people wanting to basically meet the same core needs as humans, but doing so in new platforms. So we're seeing, concerts in what we would call metaverse platforms, and Roblox and Fortnite, etc. We've seen, I was just at an Altspace VR comedy show where people are coming together, and it was like an open mic night where people come on, and it's very similar experience to kind of a real show. We're seeing people wanting to, have, birthday parties or other kind of social events, meetups in these kind of worlds. So it's about extending what people's core needs are into more of a virtual realm. And that doesn't just go for entertainment and community. There's, product exploration, there's expression and creation. I know a lot of the audience has, is artists and NFT creators. So that's just kind of a core need that has been done in a different way that's now just extending into this kind of a space. And there's also work and learning, health and fitness, as we've seen with, Supernatural and Beat Saber and those kinds of the virtual reality apps. And then also increasingly, we're seeing consultation and services. Like clients are starting to think, like, how do I get a hologram of a virtual advisor in front of clients as well? So lots of things, but it's kind of the same needs, but just extended.
So I want to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, right? So the Beat Saber part, I actually get. I played it. It's fun, right? And it's physically exercising, right? Now, as opposed to other things, like, people now argue that like video, like, we're now having a Zoom conference, right? And there are a lot of other, communication tools like that. And that people say, well, listen, you already have such a developed streaming technology. Why do you need Metaverse, right? Why it's not just enough to stream and to show a live person as opposed to be an avatar, right? So let's maybe help people to go even deeper to the rabbit hole.
Absolutely. This is one of my favorite rabbit holes, actually, is how, why use a metaverse platform, which would be an immersive platform, versus something like a Teams or a Zoom or a Google Meet. Very, very common question that we get from clients. So Accenture is actually one of the largest users of Altspace VR, which is Microsoft's platform that allows you to kind of come in with avatars, interact, etc. So the way that we use it is definitely not for all meetings, but certain meetings, like, especially when you want to have a fun event. Like we just had a Halloween meetup there where we built out this virtual space with like spooky ghosts and pumpkins, and there was a scavenger hunt. So it's really a way for, those meetings where you want to make it not linear, where kind of one person talks at a time, but really make it an experience where you could break off with certain people and have those side conversations. You could have that experience of the scavenger hunt, or somebody could be playing in this area and somebody in this area. It's really the way I like to think about it is you're almost recreating that human in-person experience to a certain extent with these platforms. So you're using digital technology to recreate that very human experience. And that, I think, is what's very exciting, and a lot of barriers to entry, still a lot of tech issues to work out. But when you get it to work, it's magic and it's unforgettable.
100% agree. Like there are a lot of beautiful case studies I've read recently where people who have disabilities, they participate in the worlds, and they're able to have activities that normally they just physically would not be able to have, right? That's another angle. Now, coming back to the enterprise level, because I'm sure you work with big corporations, right? By the nature of your job, right? So can you provide us maybe another case study of good examples how people maybe can communicate or improve their experience in the metaverse?
Yeah, so one of the the things we like to do is actually take our clients into some of our spaces and show them around and get them into headsets and see, you know, how these types of meetings can work. And meetings is just one tiny use case of everything that you can do. So for example, we do a lot of we help clients with training a lot of times. So like, for example, we were just talking with one client about safety training, right? And they spend thousands and thousands of dollars, almost millions, to actually get people into to get people trained up around their facilities. And so even though that's a very small use case, but building out just that safety training actually created real ROI for them, because they didn't have to kind of get the equipment and like get everybody trained up and get the trainers. It was something where people could do it, sometimes on their own or sometimes guided by one person that was, you know, that was streaming across many different sites. And so that's another example where you can get real ROI savings. And that's what we always try to drive toward, is not just like, you know, let's put up a decentralized headquarters or something like that, but it's like, let's actually think about how we can get meaningful returns on our work.
That makes sense, obviously, especially for corporations, you know. So coming back to another level where, so in this case, what are your biggest challenges? What are you're seeing from the clients that you have, you're talking with them, like especially on an enterprise level, and how are you overcoming them?
Yeah, so we do get, I mean, especially anyone who's read any kind of headline, I think these days knows that there's been a lot of kind of negative press about metaverse, and especially lately with, you know, the FTX situation, kind of the crypto world and all that. So there is quite a bit of skepticism, but what we try to say is, let's look at kind of what the challenges are of the client. We always like to start with what are the business problems that they're trying to solve. And then we take a look at our entire spectrum. And I mentioned kind of the kind of decentralized blockchain all the way to kind of immersive experiences, and see what are some of those even small ways that we can start to get some utility from these kinds of technologies. And then how can we build on that and ultimately create a strategy for clients that is multi-year, longer term, so that they can really participate in this kind of a space. Because, you know, I like to say the metaverse train, I mean, despite the negative publicity, it's moving. And if people are not on the train, they're going to get left behind. And that's both from like kind of a client enterprise side, and also from a professional skills side. Like if people personally are not building the skills to be able to work in this kind of environment, they're going to get left behind. And we always say they're going to be living in a future that's shaped by somebody else. So for us, kind of going back to your question, it's really bringing it back to their challenges, making sure that there's meaningful ROI attached to those use cases, and not just kind of a quick one-off thing that gets, you know, the press release, but then can't, you know, doesn't get much more traction. And then also thinking of it as like a long-term strategy and capability building to be able to succeed.
So with this said, like it's a transformation, and as you mentioned, it's very early on, right? So some people can jump on this bandwagon, some people will miss it out. So, but it's already part of our reality. So if you're talking about like this immersive experience and the importance of getting into it, like what are some ways like to stay on top of this area in metaverse? Maybe you can advise some reading material, or what's the first entrance for an enterprise that is even open to start. We wrote a research paper to help people to navigate it. Maybe you have some other like literature that you can advise.
Yeah, so I mean, if I'm biased, of course, but I think that Accenture's Meet Me in the Metaverse tech vision from this year is a really great place to start, to kind of really get a sense of like, what are the consumer use cases, what are the employee use cases, and of course, what are the industrial and like more operations use cases, kind of like how you know, might a digital twin improve operations within a factory, or kind of with a set of factories. How is data going to be used by, both on the industrial side, but also on the personal, kind of the personal data side. And that is, I would say that's definitely a place to start. And by the way, in 2013, Accenture kind of put a stake in the ground and said every business will be a digital business going forward. And a lot of our clients had skepticism. They said, yeah, I don't know if my business is quite, ready for that. But then we've seen today that, digital is just permeates every single business, regardless of what kind of business you are. And this year, we kind of made the same bold stake in the ground. We said, every business will be a metaverse business going forward. So it will be playing in some element of the metaverse continuum, essentially. So that's why it's important really for everyone to understand what that continuum looks like and really find ways to start kind of getting ready for it. That's one piece. I would say another kind of way that I like to stay on top of this stuff is just put out a, like a Google alert on Metaverse, try to follow thought leaders in Metaverse space. Like, hey, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, shameless plug there. I try to put out some things every once in a while and actually like try stuff, like the other day, there was a headline about that Snapchat has partnered with Amazon Fashion for a virtual try-on. So virtual try-on is nothing new, being able to try on like digital goods on top of your face or on top of your body. That's nothing new. We've seen that before. But what was interesting is that, I mean, imagine the commerce potential, like the reach of Amazon, but then coupled with the seamless tracking that Snapchat has. I mean, the way that the realism that it has is just, you can't get that on the Amazon app. It's hard to get that on many other apps. So if you combine that together, it's like fire. So I actually opened up a Snapchat lens and I searched for Amazon fashion. I actually tried out some of those experiences. So whenever you see a headline, try to see if you can actually get into that space. Like if you see a decentralized activation popping up, go there. You see a Snapchat new thing, go there. You see a new Roblox experience, go there, check it out, see if it's actually like worth the hype, or if there's if it's just just for the press release. And that way you're going to start to get more underneath what's actually happening and be able to speak more, just be able to kind of speak with more experience because you've actually lived it versus just kind of reading about it.
Perfect. Now that's a beautiful example. By the way, if you're putting a plug, like I also have to remind people that all the technology, all the reading, the VR technology that people have, and all those avatar technology was built by Ukrainian engineers, like for Snapchat. That actually the company was acquired, so we support humanitarian needs, what's happening in Ukraine. So that's why just important. A reminder. And with this said, we are jumping to our live streams to collect the questions from there, right? Because there's a lot already, and we're here also to make sure we answer all of them. So I'll start with like a short one, short and sweet. So Block Jelly from YouTube is asking, thank you for insights, Yulia. Your story is really inspiring. Will you be speaking at Women Web3 Miami 2022? I would like to hear your speech there.
I will not be speaking at that one, but I will very likely be speaking at the Immersive Global Summit in Miami. I'm moderating a panel there. So if any of you all are going to be there, maybe I'll see you then. But I will put the Women in Web3 Summit on, like I'll see if I can maybe join the next one or something like that. So I'm always looking to kind of deepen my knowledge and my network in this space. So thank you for that.
Perfect. OVZ from YouTube is asking, in your TEDx talk, you made great points about how everyone should become tech savvy. What would you recommend to do become tech savvier and feel comfortable in the metaverse?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. Thank you. I've kind of pivoted to kind of saying everyone's got to be metaverse savvy, metaverse ready, right? I would say the very first thing is it's a mindset, right? And so just like in my talk, I say that there's so many people who say, I'm not tech savvy, I'm not a digital person, etc. I kind of the first step is the mindset. You have to say, you can't be saying, well, metaverse is not for me, like metaverse is just overhyped, I'm not even going to look into it because it's just too early, that's not me, like I'm not like 12 years old or 9 years old playing on Roblox or whatever. So that's the first part. I don't think that's probably going to be an issue for a lot of the viewers here, but I will also say that if you are kind of leaning toward one side or the other, like if you're kind of more on the decentralized blockchain side of the house where you have deep expertise there, then I would say try to deepen your expertise on the immersive worlds and the XR side, because as a you really have to be able to go across both. And when if you work in this space or if you have clients in this space, being able to cut across is just it's just incredible. Like I've seen like some of our MDs are able to, like, you plop them into any industry, any issue could be blockchain, XR, the latest in everything. And so that's kind of what I'm aspiring to be like too, is to really, any holes that you see in your own expertise, try to research it, but don't just research, actually do it. Actually try to like download the app or like get the headset, like get into this platform or that platform, try to purchase a certain thing, get into the discords. I'm sure you all are already in the discords, but that's what I say to the clients, because a lot of times clients, they'll be in, they'll hear about Decentraland, but I'm like, how many of you actually have a MetaMask? And they're like, or like, how many of you have been in Discord? How many of you know what Discord is? And so sometimes clients get this aha of like, okay, I need to actually start, living and
Try it
actually
out.
participating right in these spaces in order to really
Totally makes sense. So with this question, I think the next one will be a very good one. Empty Space from Twitter is asking, what is your perspective of the future of business and interaction with customers in the metaverse?
Oh, that's a great one. I mean, so as I mentioned before, like the one of the things that our clients are asking about is this use case of advising. So like, clients that kind of in financial services or in the legal field, or increasingly medical, although there's a lot of regulation around that aspect of it. But kind of one use case would be to, like, once headsets and like screens where you can actually see holograms become more mainstream, you can actually beam an advisor to your station, so that way they can come into the home with you and be able to advise you versus you going to them or you being on Zoom or Teams with them, something like that. So that's one use case, which it's an interesting one, but a lot of our clients are exploring this, is how can we get like even closer, like really get into the person's home while still not losing that kind of in-person feel of having kind of a volumetric capture. So I think they're looking into like, how do we volumetrically capture, how do we volumetrically stream people? That's one. There's also, like, I would say immersive websites where you can kind of come in and easiest examples, like a virtual showroom, like we've been seeing car dealerships, or like companies like the mall opening up, where, or they haven't fully opened up, but where you can kind of see products in real kind of and buy products. And then of course the natural next step is to have like actual salespeople roaming the floor and helping them choose products and giving them consultations, that kind of thing. So we've already seen clients moving, for example, their expos to metaverse or immersive platforms, and we're going to see, I think, a lot more of that happening once the the immersive headwear gets a little bit more advanced, because that is, Constantine, like per your question earlier, like that's a huge barrier still, is people think that you have to have those headsets in order to kind of feel the immersion, and in some cases you really do. Like if you want to see an advisor, like you don't want to be grabbing a phone and like seeing the advisor like through your phone. Like you might as well just be on FaceTime at that point.
Exactly.
So
But I'm smirking because I'm envisioning like GTA style kind of like situations, right? Like the sales rep is coming up to you, he's offering you something, you don't like it, you starting to have a quarrel, and then you started to fight, and then so that would be more fun, like experience, because that you cannot do in real life. I mean, you can, but you'll be detained. So anyway, so we're coming back to the other questions. Nakamoto-san from YouTube. Hi, Yulia. What's your vision? Which industry will be the most progressive in the metaverse?
Well, I think the kind of the will is yet to be determined, but I would say retail is absolutely leading, or kind of fashion is leading the consumer space right now, because I mean they're dominating the headlines, and it's also a natural kind of, when you think about identity and self-expression, kind of what you wear and how you express yourself, that's such a natural extension of people's physical selves. Is how do you express yourself virtually. The other day, actually, I have a Roblox account, mostly playing with my kids or kind of letting them use my account. And I just had like, the regular Roblox blocky character for the longest time. And the other day, I just got so sick of it, because I'm like, that just doesn't represent me. And I don't even play the Roblox, but I'm like, it just started bothering me. And I actually like loaded my account with some Robux, and I just like spent like an hour customizing my character. And I'm like, kids, surprise. But somehow like it just made me feel like better. Like I was more authentic, even though I wasn't using my character. So I think that fashion, that need to express ourselves. And, I think one day, very soon, we'll be able to kind of, on a call like this, even to say, well, do I want to wear my Gucci blazer today? I want to wear my Versace blazer. What glasses do I want to wear? What earrings? So we kind of choose from a virtual closet. So that is kind of the space that's leading the way. And then the industrial metaverse has been happening for a long time already. So I would say they are kind of not dominating the headlines as much, but they're kind of a slow, like a big giant as well. So like, for example, like Lockheed Martin building using augmented reality, like HoloLenses to help build the Orion spacecraft, like kind of seeing what the instructions are as they're building it, versus like having to look at a manual, that kind of thing. So those kinds of use cases have been around for a while and are still the case, but we'll see kind of who wins out or where it will become most most popular in the future.
I have one provocative question for you really quickly. So Olympus from Twitter is asking, I saw some guy invented a VR headset that kills you IRL. If you die in the metaverse game you're playing, does it have to be this immersive?
Well, actually, Constantin, when you were talking about GTA, like that actually popped into my head, and I'm like, no, I'm probably not going to say that. But yeah, so Palmer Luckey, who is the person who started Oculus and then sold
Oculus,
it
yes.
to Meta. Now it's the Meta Quest 2, but it was originally his work. He invented this headset that has these like 3 basically explosive things that go into your head, and if you die in the game, as somebody mentioned, you actually die. He says it's a working prototype, so it's not that he hasn't used it supposedly anyone, but
okay.
but it is working. So I mean, my view is I personally wouldn't go there, but I think a lot of people have been fascinated with it, and I think there's probably some people who would like to see other people use it and probably pay for it. Now that's getting really deep and dark, but I almost want to see a movie where, and I know there is actually one movie made that's like, I forget what it's called, but the poster is like, if you die in this world, you die in real life. So I just want to see like a Saw or like a Squid Game with that kind of headset. I think it would be fascinating, but definitely I don't like it in real life.
I'm scared of this experience because I do believe someone would actually go and sign all the disclosures and actually go to social experiment like that. Like I actually see that happening right in the future. Unfortunately, that's where we are in the world where to draw an attention, people like basically would be, risking their life. And that's kind of a norm, which is sad, but it's a deeper philosophical question where we are. Just probably to leave it on a positive note, Talis from YouTube is asking, in your opinion, how can the metaverse foster human evolution and business development?
Yeah, so on the human evolution side, I mean, I think that when done right, the metaverse technologies can really like augment ourselves as humans. Like it almost gives you superpowers, right? Like with augmented reality, for example, like I mean, it's the same way that we can Google information and we have that at our fingertips. Like once we're able to kind of like see with computer vision, we say, hey, what's this thing, or what's the contextual layers over something, like which we can, by the way, already do with Google Lens and other machine vision technologies. But like that already like augments us real time. Like we're able to do more than we can do as humans. There's the virtual worlds like Altspace and Rec Room and all that, like they can bring us together and we can have those same human to human connections, or very similar, where you can make memories together. Like I remember me, like you coming up and shooting me in the face like with paintball or something, the same way that you would like if we had an actual paintball game. Or I could be like, oh my god, remember that guy, like how he was hiding over in that corner and then we all ambushed him or whatever. Or I actually had an experience that I talk about in my talk, that where I was presenting and I like flew out of the auditorium. And so that's something that's going to stay with me the rest of my life. So it's about like making those closer human connections in that social setting, and also being able to augment our capabilities, and then also get like more efficient and just express ourselves better. Like if I have a virtual scan of my body and I can get clothing, like a virtual mirror, and I can have clothing, like real clothing, not just digital clothing, that is tailor-made to me and is shipped to me. I mean, that like is much more sustainable than all the returns that we're having. It makes me happier and it helps me just express myself more effectively as well. So I mean, I could go on on that question, but I think that when used right, these technologies really unlock our potential as humans.
100%. I agree with you. And thank you, Yulia, for your sharing your experiences. I mean, it's really interesting. I think we've learned a lot from you. So our community learned a lot from you. And generally, like, we would love to hear more from you. Like, please follow Yulia on our LinkedIn. I'm sure we'll share links to other social media and to the actual research that you mentioned from Accenture. It'll be great to learn more. And yeah, try it out. Don't be afraid to use technologies, and go to Discord. Try in all the virtual worlds that you love. And for now, we want to thank everyone for joining BullCaster and listen to us to 4 p.m. UTC, which is 11 a.m. EST on YouTube Live, LinkedIn Live, Twitter Live, all the lives possible. And maybe one of the shows we'll go and meet inside the metaverse. We'll do it from the metaverse, right? But again, thank you, Yulia. We would love to have you more.
Super. Well, thank you so much, everyone. It's been wonderful to be here. And Constantin, thank you for for the interview. And if anybody has questions, feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn, and hope to see you in the metaverse.
For sure. Thank you.